We're talking baseball. Glory days today. We'll be talking baseball with correspondents from around the country talking about their home teams as baseball heats up.
We have a guy from Boston, a 12-year-old kid from New York to talk about the Mets, a guy from Houston, and in Radio's own Mike Ferrara to talk about fantasy baseball.
We'll have Timmy the Trotter talking about the Knicks and giving us his harness racing tips.
And at the end, Mr. B will do a completely different song.
You're sure about that?
You better. Glory Days coming up right now. Good morning, everybody. Today is Sunday, March 23rd, 2014. You are watching the Glory Days show with Bruce and Disco. My name is Paul Discofani. This is my good buddy, Bruce Oler.
Good morning, Disco. How are you today?
All right, man. And you are joining us today on InRadio.com. Matt Martin is behind the glass, and we are broadcasting to the world.
But focused on you, Long Island.
That's right. Is that still our tagline? No, okay, it's not our tagline anymore.
Well,
but we're still kind of...
Apologies then. We're not focusing on you, Long
Long
Island.
We don't care about you at all anymore.
All
Is
right.
that the new tagline?
Oops. I guess I didn't get that email.
All righty. You know, today
is
the annual Glory Days Baseball Extravaganza.
And I guess when it was a 2-hour show, we did it in one week. So now we do it over 2 weeks. Is that right?
We're doing it over 2 weeks because it's just so chock full.
It just can't be contained.
It can't be contained. And Matt doesn't want to stay late, so we have to get out of here early. All righty. We do have a call-in number if anybody'd like to call in, but don't today because we have a lot of other people calling.
That's right. We got.
No, but if you really want to call in, you can.
Or you know what? Chat with us in the chat box.
You could chat with us in the chat.
And if there's something noteworthy or interesting, we'll talk about it. Maybe.
Otherwise, we'll just ignore you.
Remember, this is our show.
This is our show, right? We do this just for us. All righty. So, it's kind of exciting, baseball season getting ready to start.
Well, it's not ready to start. It already has started.
All right, it already has started. That's true.
You know, I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Opening day is an international event. It was the 22nd, which was Friday, I guess, in Sydney, Australia. And I was checking it out. They also played yesterday. Well, they also played today.
Really?
Yeah, so the Dodgers are 2-0 right now. They won 3-1 last night, and they won 7-5 today.
How many games are they playing? They playing another game?
No, just 2 games.
Wow, 2 games in Australia and then coming back?
Yep. 10,000 miles, I think, is what they said.
Well, you know, maybe when they're flying home from Australia,
they
could look for the debris of the flight.
I tell you what, last night I was out for dinner. And the waiter comes over to us. He says, "Do you have any questions?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I want to know where that flight was."
Did he look at you?
He didn't have an answer. I said, "No tip for you," is what I said.
Oh boy. I did want to bring up that flight last week. Just because...
it reminds me of Payne Stewart. Remember Payne Stewart, the golfer? He used to fly all over the place.
Right, he died.
And basically there was a cabin thing that happened where basically everybody in the cabin died.
Including the pilot.
And the plane just kept on flying until it ran out of gas.
I really...
and it's I think something like that could have happened,
At first, I really was on board with the
aliens,
with the theory.
I thought it was UFO. Is really what I thought it was.
I did believe in the alien theory.
Did you?
I know how much, and everyone was saying no, it can't be aliens because it wasn't over the Bermuda Triangle. Like that's the only area that aliens work in. My first thought was that this plane was hijacked and it was brought to another place because nobody's claimed it yet. I don't believe it exploded, because if it exploded, I believe there'd be a bigger debris.
I guess we were talking about this a little bit, Matt. I thought about it before. It's not like Amelia Earhart where there wasn't this technology. We have satellites all over the place. You watch 24, okay, and they know exactly what car came out of what tunnel and stuff like that. You're going to tell me they can't find this plane?
Well, that's what we're finding out, is that it's not that good. I think that's the whole issue, is that
we need to get Jack Bauer on this job, I think is what we need to do right now.
You're finding out that these planes have transferred transponders,
Yeah.
okay, that can be manually disconnected. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
Why don't you have something that cannot, under any circumstances, be
Good question.
disconnected? I mean, it's a terrible thing.
Well, that's
But
so far away from Baseball Extravaganza we can go, I think.
All right, we're coming right back to Baseball Extravaganza. We did have nice weather yesterday, although today it's cold.
Yeah.
And apparently we're going to get snow here in the east on Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's going to be a drag. But what are you going to do? All right, what we're going to do is, if you've never seen a Glory Days Baseball Extravaganza,
Ooh, you're in for a treat.
strap in, and we
hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butt. We need a cigarette sticking out of the corner of your mouth. What we're going to do is we're going to talk to some people who live in other places, because in New York we know that we're the best. So, but we like to hear from other people. And today we have a nice lineup. We have our good friend Pete Torgerson is going to talk from Boston. We're going to have a 12-year-old kid who's going to talk to us about the New York Mets.
Okay.
We have a brand new guy who's going to talk about Houston.
Houston. Okay.
The Houston Astros.
That's what I'm going to get. Yeah, and we got Mike from Code Red calling in too.
Right. All right.
So we got Pete on the phone.
Our first guest. Wait, I got to give him the intro.
Okay, go ahead.
Our first guest hails from Walpole, Massachusetts, and was a star hockey player for Quinnipiac College in the 80s. He made a career as a college hockey referee in and around the Boston area, and he's a beloved figure on this here program.
That is true.
He's joining us today to talk about his world champion Boston Red Sox.
Right. I was thinking about that too, about last year when we talked to him.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that Pete, hey, you on the phone there?
This is Pete Torgerson.
Hey man, how are you?
Good. What's happening?
Are you back from Florida or are you still down there?
No, I'm back.
Okay. So we were thinking. I was thinking about talking to you today, and I thought last year, we were talking about the Yankees. The Yankees looked like they were going to have a bad team, and I thought that you said that the Red Sox weren't going to be that good either. If things fell your way, you might have a decent year, and you wind up being world champions. Is that unbelievable or what?
It was unbelievable. No one expected it last year.
Well, of course not. They were the worst team in the American League last
Well, they
year.
had Bobby Valentine the year before. They're eating chicken and drinking beer in the,
Which there's nothing wrong with.
Lackey weighed about 700 pounds.
That's right.
But wait, just before we get into your beloved Boston Red Sox, you need to talk to us about Dennis Rodman. We saw.
That's right.
We saw you post a picture of you having a conversation with Dennis Rodman in Tampa.
My new homeboy.
How did that happen?
Well, I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there with. Hold on.
What's going on there, Pete?
I'm sitting there with my daughters at the pool. And all of a sudden, my wife's down the beach. I was just, checking in with my daughter, just sitting there. So all of a sudden, this guy comes walking by. I'm like, holy smokes, that's Dennis Rodman. So I said, hey, D. Rodman, what's up, man? Said, hey, man, what's up? What's going on? What are you doing? He was like the Pied Piper. He's walking around by himself, just walking around. I don't know.
And he's a very big guy.
He's huge. He's like 6'10", 6'11", but he was like out of it. He was like totally out of it. He's like, yo, man, these your daughters? What's going on? And he's talking. I got daughters, 30, 36, 34, and 12. My 12-year-old 6'3", and rambling on and on. And she's a swimmer, and this and that. And she lives in Las Vegas. He's going on and on. I'm like, so what's up with North Korea? He goes, yo, man.
And do you know where that plane is, by the way?
Yeah. He's like, he says, oh, well, look, I'm the only one that can make world peace. You know that, man. Like, oh.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, boy. So is he going to be a correspondent for us?
Yeah. I said, do you listen to Glory Days?
Every chance I get.
I love those guys. Alrighty, so
that's great, Pete.
That was one for the record book.
Absolutely. Alrighty, so let's talk about the Red Sox. That is what we're here to do today.
Yeah. Well,
Any chance? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're the defending champions.
They are. I look at
So,
some of the moves the Yankees made. I think the Yankees are the team to beat in the East, though. Wouldn't you agree?
No.
Really? Okay.
If you remember last time this year, we were talking Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes, that's true too. Yeah.
And that never panned out. And then you got Tampa is supposed to be pretty good. Toronto, if they ever turn it around, but the Yankees, they don't scare me anymore. And who'd they sign? Tanaka's son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't do too well yesterday, I don't think.
Well, they do have your boy Jacoby Ellsbury.
Yeah.
Who's hurt already?
Yes, that is true. But now the Red Sox did not move Shane Victorino to center. I really thought they were going to do that. They kept Victorino in right, and they replaced Ellsbury with this kid Jackie Bradley, who I don't really know much about.
Jackie Bradley Jr. He might not even get off the bench because Grady Sizemore is tearing it up.
In the spring?
If we can get the old Grady Sizemore back, I'm all for that.
But do you think that guy could play center field?
Grady?
Yeah.
He's been hurt for the last 3 years. So
does that mean they'll put Victorino back in center?
Probably not. Probably not. They've been touting this Jackie Bradley Jr. for a few years now.
What about...
So, Pete, I know when you were down in Florida, you caught a hockey game, but did you catch any baseball when you were down there? You catch your Red Sox down there or not?
No baseball.
I see. Okay.
We didn't get over to Fort Myers. We started in Tampa and then went that way. But actually, when we were down there, the Red Sox played the Yankees in that game where all the bees started floating around.
Oh, that's right.
So.
Actually, the Boston Red Sox used to be called the Boston Bees, I think, way back when, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
Come on, you're a Boston correspondent.
Yeah.
You should know all this
Boston
stuff.
Bees. I never heard that one.
No?
I'll have to investigate.
So how do you think, so the Red Sox, like you say, there's a bunch of good teams. I think, again, the American League East has a bunch of good teams. So where do the Red Sox wind up, regardless of the fact they're the defending champs?
Yeah, you know what? I'm looking for 92 wins.
Okay.
The 92 to 96 category, and hopefully, win the East. If not, get a wild card slot.
Yeah, and I believe they're a playoff team. They have to be. The only other thing that I had about them was your shortstop, Bogart.
Yeah, who is it?
Yeah, that's the question. Any chance that they make an offer to Drew to come back?
Yeah, I think at some point that's going to happen. I thought my gut feeling was Drew was going to end up with the Yankees, but since that didn't happen, I think they're just waiting for they're waiting for his price to come down.
And your guy who had a tremendous season last year, your closer, O'Hara. How do you pronounce that? O'Hara. Koji. Let's just call him Koji. That's easier. He had an unbelievable season last year.
That's the big question. Can he duplicate that, or is he a one-shot?
That is the question.
Wonder? Yeah, and then Big Papi, he's hitting about 27, I think, this spring training, trying to get a new contract out of the deal. So
he'll turn it around now.
Yeah.
All right, so you're looking for about 92 wins from them this year.
The 92 to 95 range.
They won 97 last year. That was enough to win the East last year.
Yep.
And I'm not as optimistic as you are about the Yankees. I don't like their pitching. I don't think their pitching is going to hold up. I think Jeter's going to hurt them at shortstop more than help them.
All I can say is they're the Yankees, okay,
Unfortunately, that is the way things usually go.
Yep. And then, is A-Rod coming back this year?
No, A-Rod is not back this year. He could be in spring training, but he decided not to do that.
Did you hear? I know you were in, Pete, I know you were in Tampa, but did you hear that he stiffed his lawyers?
Yeah, well, I know. And they say basically it might come out now. If he doesn't pay these guys and he sues them for malpractice, that their correspondence is going to have to become public record. So,
right. Yeah, then he'll be in trouble.
They don't want to do
that.
Right. All righty, Pete, we got to move on.
All right, guys. Great talking to you.
Thanks,
Same
Pete.
here, buddy.
I'll tell Dennis you said hi.
Yeah.
World peace. Okay.
That is the Pete Torgerson with his new bromance with Dennis Rodman. All righty. Our next guest is the youngest person ever to appear on this program. He's already playing with the older boys in baseball, but unfortunately he's doomed to be a Mets fan. Okay. His dad, Jim, was our first ever Glory Days Man on the Street correspondent.
I remember.
Yeah. So please welcome to the program, Bobby O'Brien. Bobby, you there? Hello. You think he's listening on delay?
Bobby.
Yes.
Hey, how are you,
okay,
man?
It's good. I'm good. How are you?
All right. How's your finger? I understand you fractured a finger.
Yes, playing basketball. It's
But-
another 2 weeks I'm going to have a cast on.
Bobby played basketball, 12-on-12 basketball.
12 on 12.
In half court.
You know what they call that?
What?
Casket ball.
Hey, Bobby, how are you? Thanks for taking the time out to help us here.
No problem. I'm good.
So what are we going to do with our miserable Mets?
It's going to be a long season.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
That's not good to hear coming. I mean, spring training, it's hope eternal is what it is. So
I mean, do you realize that they haven't had a winning series, a winning season since you were 7?
5 years ago or 6?
5.
Five,
They've had
five.
5 consecutive losing seasons.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah, it's bad, and of course,
It hurts.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? Do you have a lot of Yankee fan friends?
Well, it's kind of like split half and half.
Okay, that's good though. It's not a terrible, imbalance.
So you say it's going to be a long season. Why do you think it's going to be a long season? What are the question marks in your mind?
Well, there's a few. The first one is our shortstop position.
Yeah.
I think we could have either traded one of our young pitching prospects, one of them since we have so many, to get maybe a shortstop from the Diamondbacks because they're looking for a pitcher since they just lost Patrick Corbin.
Right, and they got 2 shortstops.
Yeah, and we could have traded for one of them. Or I've been saying this all offseason, we could have signed Steven Drew. I think that would be a really good signing.
But do you
Maybe
think that
2 or 3 years.
Right, but do you think that for the amount of money that he wanted, that would be a good signing?
How much money did he want?
A lot.
Oh, okay.
He wanted something in the range of 12, 14 million a year. Yeah, that's a lot of cash for a guy that, you know what, an absolute upgrade at shortstop.
Yeah.
You see, the
But
biggest
shortstop's
problem
not
is
the only issue here, right?
No.
So what other positions do you think we have problems with?
Well, maybe this is just my opinion. I think since Harvey's out and John Neese might have another surgery, I think our pitching's going to be a problem. And we signed back Matsuzaka, and I never really liked him.
Well, he pitched very well in the last 3-4 games last year.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
he's really inconsistent. You never know where you're going to get from him
Yes.
every 5th day.
But again, all right, let's first talk about Bartolo Colon.
Yeah. Bartolo Colon.
This guy may not be the best pitcher in the world, but he's one of those innings eaters. He's going to pitch 200 innings for you.
Yeah, that's true. I like that signing since Harvey's injured,
Right.
and we need another pitcher to back up Wheeler and G and everything.
The guy won 18 games last year.
Yeah, he's not. It's not like he's a bad pitcher or anything.
And I think he's done steroids too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, he did.
That's the seal of
He's a
approval there
former
for me.
steroids user, although he looks like me on the mound when he pitches. Now, we know that Jonathan Neese is a question mark. I'm looking for a bounce back year from Dylan G.
I hope.
And, will Zach Wheeler's problem this year is going to be that everyone's going to compare him to Matt Harvey, which is probably not fair.
Yeah, he's not ready to be compared to Matt Harvey. He's still building. He's still getting better. He's not at the level Matt Harvey is at yet.
What did you think of the other kid? I'm asking this kid. What do you think? The other one's a kid to us, Snydengard.
Yeah.
Syndergaard? I like him.
He even knows the pronunciation.
Gesundheit to you too, man.
I would be okay with maybe bringing him up, seeing how he's doing. But if he still needs time in the minors, then I don't really know his statistics of how good he's been.
I know that you're a pitcher, so you'll appreciate this. They said he was throwing 98 in spring training.
That's unbelievable.
Which, most of the hitters that faced him said that most pitchers that throw 98 don't do it in spring training. They throw 94 in spring training. He's already thrown 98 in spring training.
Now, who was the guy the Mets had in the spring training years and years ago? They did a story on him.
The three of them. Jason
No.
Isringhausen.
This is the guy that threw 140 miles an hour.
Finch.
Yeah. He was not a real person.
Sid Finch.
Sid Finch, yeah. 140 mile an hour fastball he had.
All right, so now are you okay with Bobby Parnell in the bullpen?
I always liked Parnell. I think he always seems to get the job done when he's out there. He'll blow a save every now and then, but...
Well, who doesn't?
Huh?
Who doesn't blow a save?
Yeah, that's why I like him. He seems to be more consistent than guys like Matsuzaka or Torres or whoever else we have.
The thing that I'm worried about is everybody getting to Parnell. I mean, the Mets blew a lot of saves last year. I'm sorry, they blew a lot of saves, but there were a lot of games that they blew that didn't count as blowing saves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The problem is, other than a guy like Parnell, they don't have a guy that comes out of the bullpen that you say is going to get a strikeout right here. They're hoping that Vic Black will do that. That would be nice. But they just don't have that guy that you could depend on.
So 90 wins. I mean, that's what Terry Collins is shooting for. You think 90 wins is attainable or what?
I guess anything's possible. But
there you go. I like the attitude there.
I don't think they're built for 90 wins. This isn't their year. They have no shortstop. Harvey's out. I think next year is going to be their year. Maybe they'll sign a few guys in the offseason coming up.
I think that they're kind of destined for third place.
Yeah.
Because they're not as good as the Braves and the Nationals.
Yeah.
But I think they're better than the Phillies and the Marlins.
Yeah, well, everyone's better than the Marlins.
Don't say that because we always have problems beating the Marlins.
Yeah, the Marlins always have some stud pitches they wind up coming up with,
The Mets' kryptonite has been the Marlins.
Yeah, that's true.
For whatever.
That's true.
All right, so let me ask you this question. I'm going to call you Bobby Baseball.
Mm-hmm. All right.
You're going to be playing this year on the school team. You're going to be pitching and playing shortstop?
Yeah, those are my two positions.
All right, so that's about 7 or 8 years before you can be brought up to the Mets. If the Mets offered you money, would you play for them?
I would play for anyone if they offered me money.
There you go. All right.
And are you concerned about growing up being a Mets fan?
I try not to think about that too much. It seems like it only gets worse every year.
Yes, but let me tell you something about being in your situation at your age. When I was your age, the Mets were the worst team in baseball. Ever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they won the World Series. They came all the way back in 1969 when I was 12. And they came back and they won the World Series when nobody thought they would.
That's true.
And that was the most exciting time ever because we don't win that often. But when we win, it's very cool.
It's very fun.
It's fun. It's unbelievable to be a Met fan because there's very few times that we get to wave things in the face of Yankee fans.
Yeah.
So we live to do that.
Yeah, they're always talking about 27 rings and everything.
Oh, it's the truth.
Who cares about them?
I don't like them.
No, you know what? We're going to bring you back on to talk about the Mets and the Yankees.
All right.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's good.
All righty, man. You could just be our baseball correspondent all year if you want.
I'm okay with that.
All right, man. We'll write up the papers, okay?
All right. Good luck this year in baseball.
All right,
Take care of that finger there, Bobby.
Take care of that finger, man.
Good talking to you, buddy.
All righty. Thanks, Bobby.
All right, bye.
All right. That is Bobby Baseball.
He's pretty knowledgeable for a 12-year-old, but he loves his Mets, I think.
He already knows more about baseball than us.
Yeah, he knew how to pronounce Syndergaard.
Syndergaard. Yeah, he corrected it. All right, are we going to go to break or are we getting a phone call first? All right, we think we have a phone call first. You know what? He makes a lot of valid points. He knows exactly where the holes in the Mets are. I think the one hole that we didn't talk about, the one thing we didn't talk about was Curtis Granderson.
Yes.
And I think he's going to be a tremendous asset.
I think so too. I'm excited about him.
All righty. So on our phone right now is the one, the only Chuck Schultz.
Oh.
Chuck, are you there?
Hey, Chuck.
I am here. How are you guys doing today?
All right,
we're doing
man.
great, man.
Chuck right now is either on the way or already in Montauk. He is sitting on the beach with a pina colada. Oh, wait a minute, that's not today.
Yeah, no pina colada today, but yes, we are out in Montauk getting ready we're lining up right now, so anybody wants to come out for the parade, you got about an hour to get out here for the Montauk St. Patrick's Day Parade. We're out here with van number 74. I've got Patty and Glenn from Beatles Across the Universe, myself and Bonnie from Two Guys and a Chick, and our voiceover guy Neil is with us today.
Oh,
Neil Young.
Neil Young, not that Neil
absolutely.
Young.
So we're lining up. We're all lined up, ready to go for the parade. So this is the largest St. Patrick's Day parade in New York State. Just so you know.
Wow, man.
We were at the Chuck and the Aravio van, and myself and Matt. We were at the Santa Mauritius parade.
You said it was a good
Sunday.
time.
What a good time we have. Chuck, do you have enough Frisbees this time?
Yeah, we brought extra Frisbees, but this parade probably brings in about 10,000 people. They actually, the train in Montauk, they've been making shuttles all morning, bringing trainloads and busloads of people to Montauk just for this parade. So it's a very large parade, miles long.
Wow, this is cool.
10,000 people. That is a lot of
it.
people, man.
Yeah, this is a lot of people. It's I'm seeing fire departments from all over. I'm seeing floats from all over Long Island.
And
so this is a big deal here.
It's great for Long Island, but it's also great for Enravio because it's a great promotion for us. Mm-hmm. We're getting the word out about the show. Make sure you tell them about the Glory Days show.
I will. I'll stop and I'll tell everybody about the Glory Days.
Okay. You know, I wrote Glory Days on every one of those Frisbees I tossed out.
I'm sure you did. You saw I photographs on every one, right?
All righty, so it's out in Main Street in Montauk, right?
Yeah, you can. If you come out to Montauk, the parade's going to go past you at some point.
Okay.
It goes all the way from the marina, all the way down into the village of Montauk, through the village of Montauk, all the way to the beginning. So you're going to find this parade if you're out in Montauk somewhere. So,
all right, so
yeah, I'd recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's a great party day. If you guys want to come out, I'll be there with Van 74 all day.
And I will offer any one of our listeners, okay, $100 if they will go up to Chuck during the parade and say, "I love Glory Days." Or is that like the guy who offered $1 billion for the perfect NCAA bracket?
Yeah.
All righty, Chuck, have a good time out there.
Thanks for calling in.
All right, guys, have a great show. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Chuck.
Bye-bye.
All right, so you can see the Enravio van and Chuck and Bonnie and Glenn from the Beatles Across the Universe show and things like that. So
Glenn and I think he said Lucy too, right?
And Lucy Diamond will be. Oh, Patty, not Lucy Diamond. Patty will be there.
Patty,
and of course, you'll get to hear the perfect voice of
New York.
who does some of the voiceovers here at Enravio. He's got the greatest voice. All righty, we're going to take a very short break. And when we come back, we'll talk to Trey from Houston, a tremendous Houston Astros fan. Okay? And then we'll have Enravio's own Mike Ferrara, the co-host of Fantasy Baseball Code Red. Hopefully we'll get in Timmy the Trotter. We'll have Mr. B's song. You're watching The Glory Day Show with Bruce and Disco right here on Enravio.com. Enravio.com.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural.
And organic.
But strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice, and we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
Hey, this is Gina Cotillo from The Gina Show. Come join us every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for celebrity interviews, Reality Reel with Billy Charles, funny stories with Brian Kinnear, and much, much more. The Gina Show can be found only on InRadio.com, broadcasting to the world, so come and catch us.
You all come true. May you always do for others, and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars, climb on every rung, and may you stay forever young. May you come to
Alrighty, welcome back to the Glory Days show.
Baseball Extravaganza.
Baseball
We're moving
Extravaganza.
along. Now we're going to Houston, I guess, right?
Yeah, our next guest is new to the Glory Days show. He's a passionate Houston Astros fan. So please welcome Trey Looney to the show. Trey, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Trey.
Hey, Trey, welcome to the show.
Yes, and I am a very, very passionate Astros fan, so thank you for that, for sure.
How long have you been, do you live in Houston or?
I am born and raised here in Houston, and actually my first, the first baseball game that I ever attended was in 1980 when the Astros were playing the Phillies for the pennant.
Ooh.
And that was my first exposure to the Astrodome, my first exposure to baseball. And, well, I've been hooked ever since as an Astros fan.
So it's got to be tough being a passionate Astro fan considering the last 3 years. I mean, they've kind of, I guess every year they've kind of set a new low, I guess is what they've done, right?
Well, they bottomed the team out. And they're, during the Drayton McClain era, they had really kind of let their farm system kind of get really to the where they didn't have enough players to really fill major league rosters. Right. And I think they've done a great job with developing some talent now, and they do have some good young talent with Matt Dominguez and VR and their pitching staff there, but definitely they have bottomed out, and it has been difficult. But at least we're not the Cubs fans.
And they're in the American League now too, which has got to be, so there's all new teams you got to learn and things like that, right?
Well, I wasn't too thrilled with the American League because I do feel like the new owner, Jim Crane, was really pushed into that when he purchased the team. I do feel like the team that should have gone to the American League was the team that left the American League originally, and that was the Brewers. But Mr. Selig was not going to have that happen, and so that's kind of where we got stuck.
He rules with an iron fist. He gets what he wants.
Yes, and even the year that the Astros were trying to win the pennant, and they ended up having to play a home game in Milwaukee versus Cubs. That they ended up losing, and we didn't make the playoffs that year.
That's right.
There's been a couple of occasions where, I just kind of feel like Selig does not like the Astros. So.
Now, I know we have a picture of you so that everybody can see what you look like. You're wearing the Retros Astros jersey. That's your favorite jersey, right? I mean, I know it was for me.
Well, very, very much so. And there's kind of a little bit of a story about that. My brother and I go to a different ballpark every year to watch the Astros play, and I think the picture there might be the one in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. But we've been to Wrigley, we've been to AT&T Park in San Francisco, Petco, the Bob. We really crossed off about 7 or 8 of the stadiums or ballparks.
Is that the jersey that they wore in '86 when the Mets beat them?
Yes.
Thought I'd rub that in there a little bit.
Listen.
And by the way, I was thinking that might come up because that is a part of the history and that I'm fond of. Remember, because Billy Hatcher that day had just a
Still the greatest game I've ever seen was that 16-inning game.
You had outfielders, you had pitchers playing the outfielders, what you had, man. They ran out of players,
Hatcher hits that home run to tie the game. And as a Met fan, I remember just going, Jesus.
And when Mike Scott was really scary that year, he really was.
You know what? I'll tell you right now, Trey. I'll be completely honest with you. We did not want to see Mike Scott in Game 7.
Yep.
The Mets had to do everything possible to win that Game 6 because there is no possible way. He was inside their heads. And it didn't matter what. He was going to throw a perfect game.
He was doctoring the ball up anyway.
But it didn't matter because even if he didn't doctor it for that game, it would have been in our heads.
Actually, I don't think Mike Scott was actually doctoring the ball. It was actually Alan Ashby.
Yes. Well, that's why, they never checked the catcher. The catcher just taking it, rubbing it against his shin pad, and giving it back.
So, back to the Astros of the present day. So, you feel that you kind of take it on the chin the last 3 years and you're ready to make a move this year, or what?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a move, but I do think they're going to be competitive. They're going to be fun to watch. They, at times last year, kind of flashed a little bit of it. And I think that at least they're not going to be competing for the division title or anything like that, but I don't think we're going to be the dregs of the division either. So
right. I mean, they had the top of their order is very good. They're strong. They're powerful. Your problem is probably going to be in your bullpen, and who isn't a problem in the bullpen? Mm-hmm. The Astros last year, they tied with Arizona for the most blown saves, but that really is. I don't want to say it's a good sign.
Well, it shows you were in a lead.
They had a lead in 29 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're just walking out on the field and out of it
Yeah, but a blown
after 3
save
innings.
doesn't necessarily mean you lost that game either. I guess it just means
it just means that you had a lead.
You didn't win it when you probably should have.
Well, and I'm not sure that Chad Qualls is going to be that quality closer that's going to be able to come in and shut it all down. I mean, he's pitched for us before, but he pretty much is a journeyman, and he's not what you would call a shutdown closer. So,
what about the kid, the guy Jesse Crane that I read about?
Well, he's got some real good pop in his arm, and he's fairly aggressive, but he's having some control issues,
right?
And that's obviously for younger players that's a big issue, particularly in the bullpen. But I would imagine that towards the middle of the season he's going to start to probably get a shot a little bit.
He was an all-star. He was an all-star last year, and he did come to the Astros as a free agent. So, let's face it, they won 51 games last year.
Which isn't much.
No.
Yeah, that's
Listen,
not good.
we won 42 one year. Still the record for futility.
Yes. Yep.
42 and 120.
Yep.
Still the worst record ever.
A new low.
And I want you to know that we hold that record with pride. Detroit was coming very close to it a couple of years ago, and I was really rooting for them not to get it. I love that record. It's just such a great record to have.
I suppose.
The worst ever.
Yeah, that's
the worst team ever.
I don't know. I'm not proud of that record.
All righty, Trey. So, you know what? If we can get a 10, 15 game improvement out of the Astros, that would be pretty good, right?
Most definitely. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for this year, and get to see some development of some of these younger players, whether it's in the pitching staff or the position players. But, Matt Albers, I think, is going to turn out to be a pretty good pitcher. Obviously Crane there. Jason Castro, catching for him, has some potential. Matt Dominguez, I think they're actually redoing his contract and signing him to a longer-term deal. He's got a little bit of pop in his bat. And of course VR, he'll probably swipe close to 40 to 50 bases this year as well. So,
no, go ahead. Where are you and your brother going to be going this year? What's your destination this year?
Well, this has been we've kind of gone back and forth a little bit, but we're, I think, angling to go watch them play in Seattle versus the Mariners.
Seattle, okay. Not New York, huh?
No, not yet. No, we're slowly working our way up that. The thought process was that we're going to hit all the National League ballparks first, But now that they play in the American League, we kind of have to readjust.
Well,
readjusting your strategy.
you come to New York and you're a 5-hour drive away from Washington, Baltimore, obviously the two New York
Philadelphia.
teams, Philadelphia,
Boston.
and Boston. You could do six. You could do six baseball stadiums if you come up to the Northeast.
Well, that's kind of been a little bit of the plan, and what we've kind of talked to, but we can't talk our wives into letting us go that long.
Oh, there's wives involved. I see. Okay, all right. All right.
All right,
Wives and
Trey.
kids.
All right, Trey. Thanks.
Thanks for calling in, buddy.
Listen, do you mind
Hey,
if we call on you every now and then?
No, please, would love to. Would
All
love
right,
to.
sounds great.
And you have to promise
Okay.
to watch the show.
I actually been catching some episodes. Y'all are really good. So,
All right.
All righty. So,
enjoy it.
So if you do ever get up here, we'll take you and Joe Russo, and we'll all go out to a ball game.
That sounds good.
All right.
All right, Trey. Thanks. All righty. That is Trey Looney from
Checking our time, it looks like we're well behind schedule here.
We are well behind
That's
schedule.
what happens with the extravaganza.
So we got the next guy ready?
all right.
All righty. Matt fell down.
Oh.
All righty, our final guest on the Baseball Extravaganza is the co-host of Fantasy Baseball Code Red, which can be seen every Saturday morning right here on radio.com at 11 a.m. We'll talk a little fantasy baseball with the one, the only, the Admiral, Mike Ferrara. Mike, you there?
Happy New Year, fellas.
How are you?
Good. I was actually out at 4 a.m. yesterday morning in front of my house, banging the pots and pans. Unfortunately, my neighbors weren't too happy about that.
Hey, you generated a lot of interest with your last phone call when you called us about Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
Yes, I would imagine that was a bit controversial.
People
gotta-
want to know what kind of car you drive and where you live.
I got a
I'm counting on you
cousin.
guys to protect
I would get
my,
somebody else to start your car in the future is what I would do.
I got a
Hey, I'm
cousin.
loving Mets jerseys, by the way, guys.
I got a cousin in Annapolis is a big Yankee fan, and he's going to actually be on the show next week. So
Nice.
he had some choice things to say.
Oh,
Now, listen, that's one of the big stories this
Yeah.
year. Derek's going to retire, and, my condolences to all of the Yankee fans whose lives will not be able to continue past that point.
how good a fantasy player is he to have on your team?
He sucks.
Does he? Okay.
Listen, honestly, I mean, in his prime, he was among the best. Just my whole
consistent
point with him
guy.
was not an elite level player. That was my whole point. I wasn't taking
I see.
anything away from his career. Great career, but and now his value as a fantasy baseball is pretty much borderline irrelevant.
I see. So I think we really got down to why you don't like Derek Jeter. I think it's that. Was he on your team or what?
I have
Did you
never
ever
had
have him?
Not one.
You've never had him.
I see.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the fantasy baseball. For anybody who doesn't know what fantasy baseball is, I would be surprised if there wasn't. But actually, fantasy baseball started probably just before fantasy football.
Did it?
Those guys from the Rotisserie League, Ken Okrent, and those guys really started it. And it's a fantastic concept. Baseball obviously is a little different than football. Football is a once-a-week game,
Yep.
which makes it perfect for fantasy. Baseball's a little different. Baseball occurs flowingly through the year. Some
There's a
teams
game
play
just about
5
every
games,
day, except
some-
for I guess the All-Star break.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it requires a bit more of a commitment,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
a passion for it because, it is something that you have to manage on a daily basis, for 6 months almost. And,
Yeah.
But it's for those of us who are completely addicted to it, it's a lot of fun. It's just one of those things where, there can be, money involved in some leagues. I'm in a couple of leagues where it's purely, for bragging rights, and we just get on each other all year and just have a lot of fun. But it's something that's really exploded really since the late '80s, and it's become big business.
And-
I
and
mean,
you
there
know,
are just
you know,
shows
as a-
and
You know, as a baseball fan, that if you're a Met fan, you're a Yankee fan, you watch that team, you follow that team, you kind of know what's going on the other teams. But being in a fantasy league allows you to really
it doesn't allows you; it requires you to really.
That is true. And I
it
know
does, and to me, what it does is it makes all of the games really interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a huge Mets fan, as you all know, but. If the Mets are on an off day and there's a game on, a Pittsburgh-Houston game, which, I may not have had any interest in, prior to fantasy baseball. Now it's something I can watch and enjoy and kind of be involved in. But.
And if you have a guy in that game, or your opponent has a guy in that game, it makes everything different.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a question, because I remember we've been doing fantasy football for a long time, and it was never such a feeling that you got when you knew you were playing a team and you saw the other guy's star player get carted off the field. Do you feel that way? Does it happen with baseball too, or what?
Listen, I don't know if you guys, the big news in baseball and fantasy baseball this week was Aroldis Chapman.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you guys saw the video of
him getting him getting hit right in the face.
Yep.
Right in the face, and as much as that might help me in fantasy baseball because I don't have him, I got to tell you, that was sickening to watch.
Yeah, and you know what?
Your heart goes out.
There's no protective equipment that's going to prevent that. They've been talking about a new hat for the pitchers that's going to protect them if they get hit in the temple or something like that. But what are they going to do?
It's a shot to the face, though, right? Yeah, right.
That's about all they could do.
Yeah.
Right,
there's not a lot you can do. It's just, it's part of the game, and you hate to see it happen, but...
All right, here's what I want you to do, because we're running up against it here. Everybody knows the really good players, and everybody knows the really bad players. Give me 2 or 3 guys that you think, if you're a fantasy baseball player, you should take a flyer on.
This is like a sleeper?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You can really kind of go, by position on that.
Great.
Your previous caller was pretty accurate in saying a guy that you want to keep an eye on this year as a catcher is Jason Castro from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a guy on the rise. Some good guys to keep an eye on at first base. Jose Abreu with the Chicago White Sox, who just came over from Cuba. Brandon Belt out in San Francisco. Eric Hosmer is a guy you want to keep an eye on. Second baseman, Jerko out in San Diego is a guy you want to look at. I heard you mention earlier with your Boston caller at shortstop, Xander Bogaerts is a true talent. A guy that will be a star in the league.
Is he ready to play every day, though? Is that guy ready to play every day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They have no interest in bringing Stephen Drew back at this point.
Okay.
At third base, a guy that I'm really high on this year is Mike Moustakas from Baltimore. He's tearing it up during the spring. Highly touted prospect who played last year with kind of mixed results. But he's a guy that I'm expecting to break out this year. Out in Colorado, Nolan Arenado at third base. Outfielders, keep an eye on Billy Hamilton. He's having a good spring, and he's a guy that if he can find his way on base, and the problem is that he's still kind of adjusting to major league pitching, and the average won't be there yet. But here's a guy with the potential to steal 90 bases easily if he can get himself on base. Another guy we've been touting is George Springer with Houston. Some pitchers to kind of talk about. I don't know if you're aware, but the Atlanta Braves have been decimated. Their starting pitching. Brandon Beachy wound up having a second Tommy John surgery. Chris Medlin also had Tommy John surgery. A guy that's going to step up in that rotation this year is Alex Wood. Definitely a guy you want to keep an eye on. Relief pitchers. I don't know if you saw, but the former Met, LaTroy Hawkins, was signed by Colorado to be their closer. I think that's going to last about 3 weeks.
That'd be good for me.
Yeah, I think Rex Brothers is the guy that's going to wind up there. And then you've got guys like, Masahiro Tanaka, who, was one of the big free agent signings this year.
Yes.
He's the real deal. There may be an adjustment period there because when you're going from Japan to the United States, it's a higher level of play. The players are better. The ball is actually a little bit bigger. So you might see a little bit of a transition period with him, but he's the real deal.
Well, we
so
hope
those are
not.
definitely some guys you want to
All righty.
you want to keep an eye on.
So you and your guys are on every Saturday morning. Was
Yes,
it 10?
in fact, we did our
10 o'clock?
90-minute.
11. I'm
We did
sorry,
our
I had it
90-minute,
wrong. You're on at 11 a.m. on Saturdays.
Yeah, we were on yesterday. We did a 90-minute season premiere. We usually do an hour show, but in fact, the show, if you missed it, it will actually be on the archive, I believe, today.
Okay.
So a lot of good information if you're a fantasy baseball player.
All righty. Thank you, Chief.
All right, guys. Good
Greatly
talking to you.
appreciate it.
Actually,
Actually,
we'll see you sometime
see you
soon
soon.
when you're playing the Blue Parrot or something. I haven't gotten down to
Yeah.
Freeport the last couple of times. I
Well,
do
actually,
plan on
we'll
doing
be
that.
out. We'll be out at Hudson's on the Mile on April 4th.
Okay.
So Friday night, if you guys want to stop out and throw back a few, we'll be there.
All
Sounds
righty,
good.
that is Mike the Admiral Ferrara. And we are running out of time here.
Boy, okay.
What
Good
do we
talking to you,
have?
Mike.
Thanks, Mike. We have 2 minutes left. That's it. And what do we want us to do? Yes? Okay, let's go Timmy real fast. Timmy, you there?
Hello, boys. How
Hey.
you guys doing today?
How are you?
Good. Everything's good.
So, so the Knicks, 8 wins in a row now?
8 wins in a row. They're playing tonight. They're 3 games out of a playoff spot, I think, the last time I read. It
Yeah.
might be 3.5 now or something. Who knows?
But what I don't understand is they were 3.5 out when they had won 3 in a row.
The other teams are winning too, I guess.
In the loss column, they were a game more than if they were 3 out, they were 4 in the loss column.
Okay.
That was the problem.
Because I would have think that an 8-game winning streak would have really helped them.
You would
Yeah,
think
but
so.
the Hawks have been winning a lot of
But
games.
they haven't been that good to begin with.
Yeah.
They get all this noise about the triangle offense now. The Zen Master, he's bringing the triangle offense.
It was a great press conference.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they're doing okay. I think they're going to fall a little short of making it, but I think the Hawks are going to hang on. And,
You know what? I just want to talk about Phil Jackson for a minute. You know, his press conference, he talked about the triangle offense. He was talking about all the footwork in the NFL. He was complaining about how the NBA players don't know. You know, they do a lot of very bad things. He was talking about his strategy, which is 3 offensive rebounders for every shot and 2 guys backing up. That's the way he likes to play. He talked about his surgeries in the last couple of years. He didn't talk anything about salary cap, about how he was going to interact with the other executives. You know, he didn't really talk about anything that he's being hired to do.
yeah, but he's a great mind when he thinks.
He is, and I mean,
and that's what they need. All the other stuff that goes on off the court, I don't think he gives a damn about really.
I read something, they were saying, all he's got to do is look at Jerry West and Pat Riley, who were great coaches who became great executives.
Yeah.
So the president is there. I mean, he was with the Lakers at one time, too. So
Yeah,
I think it'll work out fine for
It was a
him.
great move. No matter what
Yep.
happened, it was an absolute great move, a no-brainer. You got a man in charge that actually knows basketball and thinks basketball. He thinks outside the box sometimes. Just like I just put an analogy. Like, if you ever hear in baseball, Buck Showalter, for the Orioles manager, you ever
Yes.
listen to him talk?
Yeah.
He thinks the game, and so does Phil. He thinks the game in basketball,
And
that's what you need. You really
that was
do.
what I liked about Bobby Valentine, too.
Yep. No, I mean
And he
they
let
think
guys
the game.
sit around and drink beer and eat chicken in the clubhouse, I guess. I don't know.
Hey,
But
whatever
he
will be,
set
will
the
be, but-
groundwork. He set the groundwork for that World
As
Series.
long as you're
team.
thinking about it,
Yeah, but with Phil Jackson, the Knicks took a right step forward, without a doubt.
All righty.
So with our extravaganza, we've come to a very, very quick ending to the show here. So
Yep,
we need to
yep.
get your picks, and we need to say goodnight.
What do you got for us?
Go on Monticello on Monday in race 5. We'll box at 236.
Okay.
Tuesday in Monty, race 3. We'll box at 5, 6, 7. We'll look for the 7 to get in there.
Okay.
For the Yonkers players on Tuesday in race 5, we're going to play the 1, 4, 6.
Okay.
And then for Wednesday back in Monty in race 3, we'll box the 1, 2, 3. You guys catch any of the baseball game from Australia?
I did not. I know that I guess they must have played this morning, too, again, because the Dodgers are 2-0 coming out
Yeah,
of the
well,
game.
no, actually the game was on live last night.
Was
About 10:15 it went on our time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was 10:15 last night.
Was it a day
watching-
game?
Huh?
Was it a day game?
Over there, it was a day game.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was our time.
was the next day game.
The Dodgers look awesome.
Brad Kershaw 1-0.
Yeah, 3-1,
Yeah,
and
then,
they won, I think,
yeah,
5-2. I think the second game or something.
And the Yu, whatever the Japanese pitcher they pitched the second game for them, he's good too. The Dodgers look loaded. They really do.
All righty, so we'll get to you. We'll get to you one more time next week, I promise.
We'll talk about the, and we'll, it'll be just the start of the baseball season.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, everything will be starting when we talk next week.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on circling in sports right now. It's a good time.
It is.
All right.
Hockey,
By the way, were you
got
the
hockey,
last
you got
guy?
basketball, you got baseball.
Were you the
got-
last guy with the $1 billion bracket?
Yeah, I'm the last guy. Did you see the odds of actually winning?
They're like, it's in the quintillions.
Yeah.
Hey, you ain't giving away nothing for nothing. You ain't getting ice in the winter, believe me when I tell you.
All righty, man.
All right, my friends, you have a great week.
All right.
All righty. That's our good friend Timmy the Trotter. Timmy the Totter. All righty. So that's going to do it for part one of our baseball extravaganza. I want to thank our producer, Matt Martin, who can be seen every week right here on radio.com as he hosts In or Out, pun intended, on Friday nights from 6 to 7 right here on radio.com. I want to thank our correspondents this week, Pete Torgerson, Bobby Baseball, Trey Looney, and the Admiral Mike Ferrara with their help for day. And don't forget to catch the Admiral and Fantasy Baseball Code Red every Saturday, 11 a.m. right here on In Radio. Thanks again, Chuck and Bonnie, for putting up with this nonsense.
And see if you can get out to see them with the
go
van
see
out
them.
in Riverhead. Montauk is where they are.
Join us next week, part two of the Glory Days Baseball Extravaganza. We'll have Jerry Schwarzman talking about the Chicago White Sox and the Cubs. We'll have Bill Sohan talking about the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Redskins. And I'm sure we'll have some blowhard to talk about the Yankees next week. All right, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will see you next week.
Signing off.
Sayonara.
InRadio.com